William Greenwood, who's playing. It's listed as 5-color Reanimator. I don't see red.
Atraxa.
Oh, is Atraxa?
5 colors, yeah.
No, red's the one that's missing.
Oh, okay.
But there is prismatic endings that may be able to make red mana from a Raugrin.
Multicolored Reanimator.
Yeah, so there are 5 colors of mana. Andrew Webb in the Rakdos Midrange, not Scam. Hal and I didn't know what made Scam, and it took me 2 days to figure it out. So I was told that it's Scam if you can cheat the elementals into play using one of the Undying effects, and it's Midrange if it doesn't do that. So this is Midrange. There is a copy of Fury, but not trying to cheat on Grief and Fury and things like that. This is like your granddad's Rakdos, your granddad's Jun.
Is this 5-color Reanimator Scam then?
I don't think there's Scam here.
No? What about Ephemerate?
Oh, it does. This would maybe be 5-color Scam instead of Reanimator.
So are these guys X and 1 or X and 2?
They, I believe. Let me take a look here. I thought they were X and 1. They may be X and 2. I'm gonna trust the information that got put on the screen and just think that I was incorrect. Oh yeah, so they are both at 8 and 2. We also lost our last undefeated last round, so X and 1 is the current leader in the tournament. And
we had the undefeated. The last undefeated was the Yawgmoth player that we had that played against the artifact. No, he played against the artifact aggro deck, and then he lost last round to Will Barlin, who lost to Andrew in the finals of the Ian Joshua event yesterday. So
we're still live for an Andrew William rematch. 2 finals across 2 days, which would just, cap the tournament off perfectly for
Can you imagine losing back-to-back finals
to the same person
in the same weekend?
Oh no. Absolutely not.
All right, well, a lot has happened already this game. It looks like Andrew's gone through 3 discard spells, and Williams got an Ephemerate, that's the last known card, but got rid of a Solitude, a Teferi Time Raveler, and I believe a Collective
Brutality. Maybe?
Yeah, I was trying to say Defiance, but I knew that was
I don't think he's playing Brutality. That may have been a Goryo's Vengeance on a different art.
Yeah, there's Collective Brutality right there under Leyland.
Oh yeah, it's a sorcery. That's where it would be. This Andrew Webb's deck is heavy on Disruption. 3 Inquisitions, 4 Thoughtseizes in the main. It's got Seasoned Pyromancers, Lilianas. It's a very fair deck that is really leaning on the back of the discard and removal that it has to offer. William, on the other hand, is trying to cheat into play things like Solitude. Also is playing the full 4 of Atraxa and has Grizzlebrands, trying to trigger both of those off of Goryo's Vengeances.
Yeah, and so Andrew does play the Caesars of Pyromancer. Looks like he discarded a Fury and maybe a Lightning Bolt. It's an alternate art. I can't tell what's under the Fury. I believe it's a Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt is a good guess. He is playing Lightning Bolts, so that would make sense.
Oh yeah, we'll see if we can get Andrew's deck name updated. Just correct the Rakdos part.
Oh yeah, it's Rakdos, Rakdos.
Rakdos sounds like a fun cereal name.
I would eat some Rakdos. Yeah, no C. Different rack. Andrew Webb with a fetch land here. Falling pretty quickly down. I don't believe he's been attacked from his opponent at all, but double Thoughtseize, couple fetches, Shockland.
Yeah, and I don't believe William has not cast a spell yet this game due to Andrew's
discard.
The first 3 spells being Hand Disruption.
So it's exactly how you want it to play out if you're the Rakdos Midrange deck. And not expecting any creatures that he wants to hit with Lightning Bolt, Andrew is just going for face. He's going to play another Seasoned Pyromancer, discard a card, make another token, and he's just going to try and end this game as quick as possible.
Yeah, and that makes sense. If you're going to end up discarding your hand anyway, you'd rather bolt your opponent for 1 extra elemental token instead.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not sure what that last card discarded by Andrew was. It looks like a
Unlicensed Hearse.
Oh, it's. Oh.
I think it's a.
It looks like a black-red card.
Yeah, It does kind of look like a black-red card. Colgan's Command, maybe?
Yeah,
An altar? Yeah, that's
yeah.
Colgan's Command in the
I
graveyard.
think that's Colgan's face zoomed in there. All right, let's see if William is able to find something, put something together to cast a spell this game. Looks like a land. The Ephemerate is a known card from the hand reveal. Not sure what the last card drawn was.
William's best draw is definitely Solitude. Solitude plus the Ephemerate would just, completely reset. We got another Inquisition out of Andrew.
Yeah, it looks. Oh, it's a Grizzlebrand.
Grizzlebrand. Can't get rid of that one.
Yeah, you can hold on to that one.
You go right ahead.
Rakdos is, Grizzlebrand is safest in your hand.
So William Greenwood now looking for Tainted Indulgence to discard the Grizzlebrand and then hoping to find a Goryo's Vengeance. But I don't believe he'll be able to activate it more than once. It'll take an attack to even have enough life to activate it the one time.
Yeah, Ragavan revealing Ephemerate. And this is a one-turn clock. I mean, William has to find something right now.
It's a good showing from the Rakdos deck, just playing a mess of discard, putting a threat in play, and
nothing fancy, nothing too crazy. Just discard some cards, play some creatures, and close the game out before William has a chance to do anything.
I think the question here is if the
Ephemerate
was played.
But yeah, he's Ephemerating the Season's Pyromancer. Draw 2 more cards. Why not?
Yep.
And it looks like he drew another Seasoned Pyromancer. And a Shizo, is that the red?
Yeah, so
legendary
his deck has a bunch of the legendary lands. So he has Shinka, the old one
Shinka
from original, and then the Shizo
is the black one. He drew
one.
the red one, it looks like.
He also has Sokenzin, the Crucible, which could have been the one you saw.
Every house in Kamigawa in this deck.
So Grief was the card found. Not going to be enough.
Yeah, Dash
Ragavan, turn him sideways.
There we go. We're on to game 2.
That's all she wrote for William Greenwood in game 1. I believe that we are going to have graphics available to show the deck lists while they sideboard here. But just in case, we'll talk over what we think might be coming in for each player. So in Andrew's sideboard, there's Engineered Explosives, Necromentia, Obnixilis, the Adversary, not the old 5-mana one, Chalice, Alpine Moon, Liliana, Turok, another copy of Unlicensed Hearse, Voidmere, and Terminate. So if you're playing against the what you saw, right? He didn't see Goryo's Vengeance or any discard, but you got to think if there's a Grizzlebrand, they're trying to do cheated into play. So you would expect the Unlicensed Hearse at very least to come in here. Would you bring in extra Liliana of the Veils for more discard after the way that first game went, or Necromentia to get rid of Grizzlebrand, perhaps?
I think there's too many different named cards for Necromentia to be impactful enough. Now the Liliana, though, can at least make them sacrifice it. But I mean, I don't know. If you go 14 cards deep with Grizzlebrand, you don't really care if you sacrifice it. And then the +1 discard extra is a little scary. I don't think I'd bring in the other Liliana.
Yeah. On the other hand, the 5-color deck that William Greenwood is playing has 3 copies of Prismatic Ending in the sideboard. Leyline of the Void and Sanctity. Sanctity is definitely a thought in this matchup to shut off all the discard.
That should almost definitely be brought into.
No matter whether it was meant for this matchup, after getting discarded 3 times in the first 2 turns, it's definitely going to come in, I would assume. Okay. Here is actually Greenwood's list. You can see on the right-hand side, there's a Teferi Time Raveler, Emrakul, the new Elish Norn. Usually if it's a Reanimator deck, you're expecting to see 7-mana Elish Norn. But the new Elish Norn is out there, and a copy of Lavinia as well.
Yeah, the new Elish Norn is pretty busted with Grief, Solitude, and Atraxa.
Yeah.
I think it's probably mainly for like Solitude against creature decks, so you just got more ways to get rid of more creatures and survive longer. But, I mean, it's just a bonus with Grief and Atraxa.
Yeah, so I don't think you want Teferi in this matchup. I don't think it's great here. I don't think Grief is maybe the plan you want to be on in this matchup either.
Yeah, you definitely want the Leyline of the Voids, and you want the prismatic endings for stuff like
Sanctity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Leyline of Sanctity. But yeah, you want prismatic endings for stuff like Hearse, Pithing Needle, or Tormod Script, or whatever.
Safe to bring in prismatic ending as your catch-all answer in sideboard games when you're not sure what to expect. Leyline Binding is especially safe against a black-red deck. They don't have ways to get it off the battlefield most of the time. That's another excellent piece of removal there. So he's getting the mountain side of things from the Raugrin Triome and the forest from Indatha. So it really is an Esper deck that just has 2 extra pips for prismatic endings.
Yeah.
And I guess you could conceivably cast an Atraxa in a long enough game. Yep. Should be getting ready now for game 2 here. Looks like William is ready and Andrew is still shuffling. I think in the Reanimator style list against normal discard, you would expect the discard deck to be favored. But the way these modern decks can cheat out things like Solitude so quickly, it's not a normal showdown of the 2 styles of decks.
Yeah, I think this still ends up being a pretty close match. If William can have a solid opening hand with Leyline and some actions, probably favored. But without that, if Andrew has live discard action in their hand, I mean, we'll probably just see another game like that, like the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're Andrew, that's what you're looking for, is a hand with multiple pieces of disruption and then a threat. Honestly, this is the style of Rakdos I love. Like the fair deck, play a bunch of discard spells. I don't think it's has been exceptionally good for some time, but Andrew 8-2 on the day, still live for top 8. Will unhappy with his first hand. Gonna shuffle him up and look for a better 6.
So you're not a scam kind of guy then.
I love that combination. The Grief Ephemerate is I'm a big fan of it, but no. Given the option, I think I'd be on the other side. The Rakdos mid-range deck, some people were asking, it does play a full 4 Dathi Voidwalkers.
Yeah. All right, so William does find a hand with Goryo's Vengeance and Leyline, but I'm not sure he has enough lands.
I see 1 land, maybe 2.
Now, it looks like we are going to see a keep.
It is 2 lands and a Leyline. I think that's exactly what you're looking for. Now, if Andrew kept multiple discard spells, he's on multiple blanks, but his opponent is down basically 2 cards because the Leyline doesn't do anything proactive for your plan.
Now it'll be more like a race, really. Who can get threats on the board and just start swinging. I think I did see Andrew has an unlicensed Hearse in hand, so William will need an answer for that as well.
So William is going to get to Grief Ephemerate here. He drew the Ephemerate off the top.
Yeah. That could be huge if Andrew's just got the 1 Hearse. Pretty solid hand from Andrew.
I think you have to take the Terminate with one of these so that you don't get your Grief killed and you get to keep going with the Ephemerate. Yeah, and he agrees. The Inquisition, no real value with the Leyline in play. And the Blink is going to take the unlicensed Hearse as expected.
Okay.
So Andrew kept a hand with a little bit of discard, lands, a Leyline, and Graveyard Hate. Seemed like a fine hand, but no real threat. So he's definitely under the gun here after having 2 cards discarded and facing down a Grief in play.
Is that a Voidwalker in Andrew's hand? What's the card in between Inquisition and Liliana?
That's a good question.
Oh, no. That's
legendary creature?
No, it's the, Turok. Yeah.
It is Turok, Dread Cantor. So it does target. It says only target opponent, but so you definitely don't want to kick a Turok because you can't target with the Leyline in play. So he's just going to play Turok out. Protection from white, 2/1, and whenever an opponent discards a card, you put a +1/+1 counter. So William does play cards that'll make himself discard as he filters through his deck, so the Turok can grow pretty quickly.
So with the Grief discard, would that put a counter on Turok or no?
So
Oh, no,
it's whenever an opponent discards
Oh,
a card.
okay, yeah. Yeah, the Liliana was hit with the second or the third
The
grief.
bounce on the ephemerate.
Yeah, the third grief into the battlefield trigger.
It's hard not to be a fan of that interaction. It's tough to be on the other side of, but getting to grief somebody twice on turn 1 or turn 2, and then again the next turn, just take their hand apart entirely.
So
It's a big deal.
Andrew takes 2 for Blood Crypt. So I guess we're going for the Death Shadows plan here.
1 unknown card in hand.
Now,
Grief didn't attack, but it has menace and more power. Yeah, I thought Grief should have probably turned sideways last turn, too.
It had summoning sickness. It
The
couldn't attack.
ephemerate
Yeah,
blinked it. Yeah, that's why it couldn't attack. That makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like Andrew played the Blood Crypt on tap, probably to do the channel ability with Takanuma, since he does have a legendary creature in play.
Right.
Possibly get the Liliana back. We'll see what 2 cards hit the graveyard. Okay, so the options are...
Another Turok.
Oh, it's 3 cards. Okay.
So he gets the Lily back.
Yeah, Liliana.
And William's hand has just not developed. The mulligan plus the ley line meant he was kind of working with 5 cards to begin with.
Yeah.
He had to exile the Atraxa to play the Grief plus the Ephemerate. He went through basically all of his cards. And I see maybe a Solitude in hand.
I mean, I imagine a lot of the times 3 grief triggers...
Probably enough.
Probably enough.
This black-red deck is incredibly grindy. It's really well equipped to win games that go long and revolve around card advantage.
It's kind of scary to play the Liliana, though. So if William has something like Goryo's Vengeance in their hands, you really don't want William discarding extra cards, because right now William doesn't have anything cool in his graveyard, and now they do. Now they have a Solitude they could possibly reanimate.
Liliana notably can plus because it makes each player discard a card, but cannot force the sacrifice because it does target.
So now did we miss a Turok trigger?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it's so it's not a May. If somebody wants to signal the judge that a Turok trigger was missed.
Okay. There's an unlicensed search, so now we're gonna have another Liliana
discard
plus.
for both.
Looks like William's hand is Goryo's Vengeance and another Solitude.
Just needs to find a Grizzlebrand to discard to one of these Liliana tick-ups, and he's in a good spot. I'll be honest, the Turok triggers not something that I think most people think of when they think of the card, but with the Liliana going, the Turok can tick up very quickly.
They only noticed one of them.
They only noticed one. It should be one more.
Should be 2. Okay.
Yeah, so the second one was missed, wouldn't get added as a beneficial trigger.
Gotcha.
The first one, but the second one after the first one was caught.
Okay. Yeah, they did the second one.
Yeah, interesting that William's not attacking the Liliana, as it is both eating at his hand and pumping up one of the threats on Andrew's side. I think William kind of knows that he's under the gun at this point. I'm not sure that the attack for the Liliana would have changed the tenor of the way this game goes, but it was pretty crazy to get a Grief Ephemerate on turn 2 and then just basically draw nothing else that could really impact the game and fall behind as Andrew's deck did what it does best with Takanuma, getting him back one of the cards that was discarded, and then having the unlicensed hearse. Now just multiple different avenues that Andrew can attack. And the Goryo's Vengeance is also not going to be good with a Dothy Voidwalker in play.
Yeah, and an unlicensed hearse.
Yeah, Hearse and Voidwalker both kind of shuts down that plan. William never hit a third land. I think the keep was right.
Yeah.
On 6 with the Grief, with the Leyline of Sanctity.
card
just
to pitch and a
hasn't developed, and you know
Yeah.
that happens. Dothy Voidwalker is going to crew the unlicensed Hearse.
There's
Okay,
a
so we're going to get Solitude.
Pitching another Atraxa. Hearst's going to eat a couple things on its way out.
Solitude ends up in the graveyard, but shouldn't end up in the graveyard because of Dothy Voidwalker.
Yeah, that should be exiled.
That Solitude should be exiled. I'm sure they'll catch it, or the judge will catch it in just a second.
Yeah, I don't think William can get out of this one.
No,
Looks
I
like a
don't think
dashed
so.
Ragavan.
Yeah, there you go. They figured it out. Dash Ragavan, you're looking at 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, and
Enough.
Williams
That's
at 3.
enough. Yep.
And that's that. William with a great start that just didn't develop, and Andrew Webb's Rakdos Midrange deck doing mid-range things.